Hi, this is John from John's Workshop, and today we're going to be working on this 1997 Lincoln Town Car, doing the dreaded blend door actuator repair. So I'm going to try to walk you through the steps involved in getting the old one out and putting the new one in. Here's the noise. You can kind of hear it coming from inside the dash. And I just have the key turned on, the car's not even running. That's what the noise sounds like. So the first step I'm going to do is take the radio out. So you've got to have these guys which go into the holes here like this. You compress them and then stick it in like that on both sides, like that. And once you get it in there, then you can pull them out, and that allows you to pull the radio out like that. See, they go in and engage these. Okay, so then we've got to take this wooden strip out here. So I'm just using a plastic door panel. There we go. We can just pop this guy out as you go along here. Like that. Now there's some wires under here that you've got to remove a connector here. You can see that. And there's another connector over here for the rear defroster, and then this piece comes out. The panel also pops out. It doesn't come out very far. There's an electrical connection back here. You got to take that out before you get this out of here. There you go, like that. So we also have to take this part underneath the dash. This is going to come off, and you can see there's these plastic pop fittings, fasteners that hold it on. And you can just work these things out like that. Okay. All right, so we've got to take the glove box out of here. So there's a number of 7mm screws under here, and we're just going to pull those out and get the glove box out. So this is the soft close damper. So once you got the glove box loose, you can move this and see how you can slide it out of there, and then just let it go back up. Okay, now we have to get the under the steering wheel panel out. So there's just a few more of those 7mm bolts, and this will come right out. So these two bolts here on the front hold the airbag in, and there's two of these gold bolts underneath, and those have to come out too. Okay, so here's the airbag unit out. On this side there was just a pin here that's like a location pin, and then underneath you have those two gold colored screws, and on the front you have the two 7mm black colored screws. And the way to get it out is just reach your hand up in here, kind of hold on to this, and you just kind of push on it, and it kind of will just pop out. Now, of course, there's an electrical connection here you got to undo first, but the whole thing really just comes right out. Holding this part of the instrument closer on, you've got this bolt here, 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 then you've got these two under here. But along the top here, you just kind of have to disengage it by kind of pulling it down a little bit. You see here how it's, kind of gets stuck, and you have to kind of wiggle it around a little bit here. And just kind of have to shift it around until you can get it out. Okay, so to get this out, I sort of pull this up like this, and then you can get it up over the top of this, and you pretty much have it loose at that point, except for the wires behind here, and then you disengage those. Okay, next we're going to take this panel underneath here out, and there are just a few of these gold colored bolts here, 8mm. All right, so we have to get this front panel off here. So I'm just using this trim remover here to kind of pull this up. There's an electrical connection right here for the sun sensor, but the rest of this just pulls up like this. That's going to allow us to get to some bolts on the front here that hold the dash on. Okay, here's the sun sensor, and you have to deflect this piece right here to get the electrical connector off. There you go. Okay, then we have to take this, or loosen this panel here to get to some bolts on the dash up in here. So you start in the middle here like this and work your way out. These should just pop right off, and that'll allow you access to the bolts like this. There we go. And then we've got some bolts down in here. To get this trim piece out, there are 3 Phillips head screws that come out, and that allows us to lift this up. There's one more Phillips head screw right here on this panel that we take out, and once we get this out, we can remove this whole panel. This was a little bit tricky to get out, this vent, but it turns out there's these compression fittings here that just pop out. I was afraid to pull on it too hard, but you've got one over here on this side on the top and one over here on that side, and then you just have the bolt on the bottom, and then you can pull it out. So that's all that was holding that in there. Okay, so we're going to take these bolts off here. This bracket's loose, so we can move the dash back. So those are off. Okay, so we're going to take this 15 millimeter bolt off. Pretty tight. Yeah. So here's another bracket under here. This is a 13. So we're going to take this one off. Okay. I'm going to disconnect the steering shaft here. So that should allow the steering column to move back with the dash, as opposed to trying to disconnect the steering column from the dash. So we pulled the dash back. The steering wheel's resting on the seat over here, and I'm kind of holding this side up with my leg. I'm trying to get the air duct out here. That's our next step. Oh, this is the defroster hose that goes out through this side vent and goes into the door, and so this is trapping the vent, the air vent in there. So you just have to get this kind of out of here, and then we can get that air duct out of the way. There we go, like that. Okay, so there's one bolt back here that holds that air duct on, and it seems like it's pretty hard to get to, but once we got the dash pulled back, then we can get to it. So that same 7/32 socket size. So then once you get this off, hopefully we can pull that air duct off. Okay, so remember how this is coming in like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So with the dash pulled back, we can now see, here's the culprit right there. There's the blend door actuator. 2 8mm nuts in the front, 2 in the back. So we're going to take this bracket out here, and that'll give us a little better access over to the actuator. And you can see now with the dash off, I can get to this top bolt that holds that. Okay, so here's the old part. Notice this is broken off. So what I ended up doing is, you can get to the front two very easily. They're 8mm. The back one is just so tight in there. I was able to get this wrench on here a little bit and get it, but you don't have much room to work. Otherwise you run into this edge right here. But I did get this, which is a 5/16, which is pretty close to 8mm. And you see it's a ratcheting wrench. So I was able to get that in the back here, kind of, you're all doing this in the blind, you can't see. You kind of put your finger here like this, and you're doing this. And finally got this one off. Okay, so here's the new part. And what I did is I cut this off here. We're gonna try to pop that in. I loosened that screw just a tiny bit to get the broken piece of the other one out. Pop this in here and then put these 3 screws in there to hold it in. Okay. So what I found was that trying to put this screw in, I could really not get it in there while the unit was in. So what I ended up doing is slicing this one off, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the screw in here. This one we can actually tighten. This one can't get onto it. So here's the new actuator 3 bolts tight, and then one in the back that's just kind of holding it there with the connector in. The rest of this is a matter of putting everything back in reverse order. So successfully put everything back together, no clicking noise, and the blend door works just fine. So another successful repair. Hopefully this video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.